I want you to know I have failed at recording this video twice. Glitchy mic, glitchy video, third time's the charm. It's late night, we're going with chill vibes. It's probably bedtime for you, or maybe you're just waking up, but let's keep it low key. Even though I've got two high key breaking news type stories to discuss with you. One about one of the most anticipated Switch games sucking, which is frankly awful, and the other about a new projected release date for Nintendo Switch 2. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. I had a long day, just showered, ready to dive back in. Hope you are as well, because we're kicking it off with Switch 2. I know some people hate this, but what's interesting here is it's being approached from the factory and manufacturing side of things, as opposed to the gaming insider side of things. And that's what made my ears perk up. As of now, our expectation is that Nintendo Switch 2 will launch in late 2024. That's what all signs have been pointing towards. But we've got this new report from Tech Insights, who are a semiconductor industry market analyst company, meaning they analyze semiconductor manufacturing forecasts and then make their own forecasts. And surprisingly, they are making a specific prediction of a March or April launch for Nintendo Switch 2 in the first half of the year, based on past precedent and Nintendo's desire to make up ground on Sony in terms of global console shipments. Now let me break this down for you. The first part, totally understand. Nintendo does have a past history. They announced Switch 1 in October, had the big blowout event in January, launched in March. They could follow a familiar pattern. And I don't believe this fully. I take it with a grain of salt, but if I were to pick, I would rather a rumor come from the factory manufacturing side, because at the end of the day, factory manufacturing does it. Like, if we don't go into manufacturing, we cannot have a release. We cannot have a launch. At the same time, the idea of Nintendo being so concerned with Sony rubs me the wrong way. Like, I know Nintendo obviously wants to be competitive, and transition is everything for them. Nintendo has led the charge this entire generation. But is Nintendo even comparing themselves to Sony at this point? We have such a staggered release schedule from the other consoles, and the Switch kind of holds its own lane being a hybrid system and having Nintendo first-party titles. Is Nintendo concerned with falling behind PS5? Maybe, but I highly doubt that competition with Sony is what's driving the release window of Nintendo Switch. I think they would pick whatever date they feel is best by their own metrics, and then if it helps them out, it does, it doesn't. Because if you have a poor launch, doesn't matter how far behind or how close you are, you're going to be behind. Nintendo Switch 2 needs to come out with a bang and a convincing reason for why everyone should upgrade, buy the new system, and then it can catch PS5, no concern. You drop a new Mario Kart, a Mario, an Animal Crossing, boom, we're off to the races. I don't think Nintendo really would make moves based on Sony, but that's just me. At the same time, we do have all of our insiders in the gaming industry pointing towards a second half of 2024 launch. We're expecting to have a Nintendo Direct next week. I believe it's Wednesday. Tokyo Game Show's at the end of the month. And then what? Nintendo's going to have another event shortly after, dropping a trailer for this new system? It feels too fast and just not the right time. I know Gamescom supposedly they showed or had or talked Switch 2 with developers and publishers, not press. I don't know. Maybe that's moving faster than anticipated. Maybe some of these industry insiders are off. I'll gladly welcome an early reveal of Switch 2, but my bet is still on a mid-year reveal next year, 2024, and then a fall launch. But I found this interesting, and because it's from the factory manufacturing side, I had to bring it to your attention. I'll keep you posted if anything develops. What's also developing poorly is one of the biggest Switch releases of the fall. Now, we don't get a ton of third-party games day and date on Switch, and when we do, it's a big deal, especially when the past two titles have performed so perfectly, or at least as perfect as they can on Switch. Mortal Kombat 1 has leaked on Nintendo Switch, and the early reports are less than stellar. In fact, the early reports are awful. VGC, Video Games Chronicle, talked to someone who has the game early, and they said, I have an early copy I would avoid on Switch as the performance isn't up to par for a $70 title. Lots of lag whenever there is a lot of screen movement. This strange persistent screen glitch that tears the middle of the screen is the most jarring thing. And there you have a nail in the coffin. If Mortal Kombat 1 launches with lots of lag and a persistent screen glitch that tears the middle of the screen, forget about it. That is a no purchase from me. And it sounds odd because NetherRealm and Mortal Kombat have fared really well on Switch. Like I mentioned, Mortal Kombat 10 and 11 performed really impressively on Nintendo Switch. And I think that if this is true, if this is how it will run in 2 weeks when we play the game, it's going to be a major line in the sand moment. Like, look, my hope is that Mortal Kombat 1 gets a day one patch and fixes things up nicely and plays awesome on Switch. They just revealed the Megan Fox Natara trailer today. We know a lot of the characters in the game. They've got a wonderful slate of cameo fighters. Everybody's impressions of the game has been super high. I played in the beta and loved it. They're adding new modes. They do a great job with a quirky, crazy storyline, and it looks amazing. But there's one thing different about this Mortal Kombat compared to the last two, and that's this Mortal Kombat is next-gen only. The gap between PS5 and Switch is huge. The chasm, maybe it's just too wide to cross. You'd say, okay, if Mortal Kombat NetherRealm could port the games previously in a really amazing fashion, why not do it again? But either they can, and we need a day one patch, which isn't out of the ordinary. Day one patches are super commonplace, and it would not surprise me if this game purrs at launch after they patch it up. At the same time, when Mortal Kombat 10 and 11 released, we were talking about a smaller difference between Switch and the released version of the game. The graphics and the performance of Mortal Kombat 1 are made for PS5, are made for Xbox Series X, and porting that down to Switch might just be too difficult. Now, this would be a major bummer because it's, like I said, one of the most anticipated fall Switch releases. It's a day-and-date third-party big game. Somehow it's next-gen only, but also Switch. Confusing, but cool. And this could be the point where we see, oh my gosh, we need Switch 2. We need this new system because no longer can games even be ported. Like, we don't get many third-party big titles. I know we're getting Hogwarts Legacy way late. Mortal Kombat 1 day and date is like the very rare special release. And Mortal Kombat has been a game, I know it's not for everybody, but it's been a game that has really done the Switch and the Nintendo audience proud. If they can no longer do it, that tells me, no, this isn't just a hasty port job. This tells me that, okay, the gap is now too wide and ports are going to stink or not exist. And we definitely do not want a console that cannot get any third-party games. Like, I know we get indies, I know we get Nintendo first party, those are fantastic. All the games, Mario Wonder, Gunbrella, like, they're great. But we should not be in a world where Switch persists and cannot get third parties. And if we've reached that point, then it's mandatory we get a Switch 2 soon. It is mandatory if nothing can no longer be ported over to Switch. And I know there's different teams, different levels of talent, different levels of time, money, commitment, all that stuff. But NetherRealm has proven that they care about the Switch audience. They've done it well. So far. I'll note that NetherRealm hasn't shown a second of Switch footage, and the game is 2 weeks out. That's very strange, and some people have hypothesized it's being saved for a Switch Nintendo Direct debut, or maybe it's being saved because it looks like trash. Major lag, screen tearing, that's not just, oh, muddied colors. That's like, I cannot play my fighter right if the performance is that but ugly. If it's that bad and that slow and laggy, a fighting game will not be fun on Nintendo Switch. It won't be fun anywhere. The portability will not usurp awful lag. It just won't. And I have my fingers crossed, I'm a glass half full kind of guy, that we do get a day one patch and we download this and it runs great and it's awesome and it's one of the big hitters for Nintendo Switch this fall from a third-party standpoint. But I'm very worried because going from this to running butter smooth seems like a big ask. And it already was a big ask to go from PS5 to Switch. That just may no longer be possible in terms of porting titles. 360 games, they run great on Switch. Some Xbox One games, PS4 games can run great on Switch. Some cross-gen games can run pretty good on Switch. Maybe we just can't do next-gen games down to Switch. Maybe we really do need a Switch 2. Now, let me know your thoughts. Like I said, I will still keep my hopes up. I will still check this out. I still want to find out how Mortal Kombat 1 plays. It's a story either way. It's a story if it's horrible. It's a story if it's great. It's really a big deal no matter what. But I think if it doesn't perform well, it's an even bigger line in the sand and one that we probably cannot uncross. The Switch just won't be good enough for third parties any longer. Hope it's not the case. Hope we see at the Direct and it looks great. Hope there's a day one patch. I hope. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments down below. Hope you're all doing fantastic out there. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive. And until next time, SwitchForce out.